Hi guys. So I didn't want to talk about Starliner again. To be more specific, the video I wanted to do about Starliner was celebrating their return to Earth. If you haven't noticed, they're still stuck. So what's going on? All right, so before I get into what's been happening more recently, let me correct a mistake I made in the last video. Apparently there's like 24, 28 thrusters, and I said there was only 8 and 7 of them failed. What it is that 8 of them failed. They were able to get 7 of them working again out of 24 or 28, something like that. There's a lot more than I originally said. So what's happened since then? I don't really know how to describe this. I do have a background in software development. I don't have a background in developing software for spacecraft, but I don't understand why a stable, tested, working feature would be removed from software, especially when it's a critical feature. Let me explain. The first Starliner launch was a failure. It made it to space. I think it orbited once and then came down. There was no people on it. They determined that if there had been people on it, they would have been fine. And that was good enough for the second launch. The second launch was also unmanned, and the capsule went all the way to the space station and then came back. Now, since it was unmanned, that meant it had to do everything autonomously. So at that time, it was able to dock and undock from the space station and run through its deorbit burns autonomously. And the test worked so well that some pointy-haired boss decided to remove the ability to autonomously undock and deorbit from the space station. Were they not planning on bringing these astronauts back? And to make matters worse, they apparently didn't realize that they couldn't do this anymore until they were already docked to the space station. It's like finding out that your brakes don't work after you're on the freeway. No, it's worse than that. It's finding out that someone deliberately removed your brake after you got on the freeway. Someone who had just fixed them, someone who had just made them, whatever. That's not the bigger issue here, though, I don't think. The bigger issue is that there's a growing sentiment that neither NASA nor Boeing are telling us the truth. I don't know what the truth is. There's a lot of speculation, including one that I've seen recently, earlier tonight, when I was checking to make sure that nothing happened with Starliner before I shot the video. Someone speculated that the capsule was just completely failed, and I'm not sure what that means. But I do know that NASA is currently violating their own policy. See, they have a policy. There has to be enough spacecraft docked to the space station so that everybody on board the space station can get in their assigned spacecraft and leave the station and return to Earth in the case of something catastrophic. Now, I suppose there might be a Soyuz capsule or two docked that technically fulfills this requirement. But between the Dragon that's there, the Dragon is the only thing there, besides whatever Soyuz might be docked. For American astronauts and astronauts from many countries that are currently not at war with the Ukraine, that's kind of it, the Dragon capsule. Starliner can't return. Should have sent this unmanned. So what's next? So SpaceX has been preparing the Crew 9 mission. Now, under the launch services contract, NASA gave SpaceX some money, and the idea would be that NASA would pay them in the future, but SpaceX themselves would manage all the logistics. Building the rocket, putting it on the pad, launching it, getting it to the station and back. Boeing is supposed to be able to do that with the Starliner. So SpaceX has been getting Crew 9 ready. Crew 8 is what's on the ship, what's on the space station right now. Crew 9 is ready. It's supposed to launch, I don't know, a couple of weeks, a week, and they've already been pushed back to September because there's no docking ports available because Starliner can't move out of the way. So now there's talk about 2 of the assigned astronauts to Crew 9 being pulled so that there will be room for, it's Butch and Sonny that need to come home. And if that happens, Butch and Sonny have to become a part of Crew 9 and serve, the next 6 months or whatever the Crew 9 mission was. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they should do at this point. A week ago, I would have said they need to, pull 2 off of Crew 9 and send Starliner home unmanned and see what happens. And then launch Crew 9. Launch Crew 9, have it ready to dock with the space station, and then send Starliner home. Whatever. Point is, Starliner goes home unmanned. Crew 9 goes up there. Those 2 come back with Crew 8. But Starliner can't undock. Flight-tested software that could do the mission was changed so that it can no longer do the mission. What the hell were they thinking? So I don't know what they should do next with this mission, but I know the next mission needs to be unmanned. I think back to when SpaceX was qualifying for the ISS. SpaceX first built Cargo Dragon and qualified with that. And once they demonstrated repeatedly that they could do ISS missions, then they developed Crew Dragon. Technically, they were developing Crew Dragon all along. They did it for half the price. So I've been going through these weird theories of emotions recently because I've been watching Scott Manley. You know, I'm Scott Manley, fly safe. I think he took an in-depth look at the space shuttle program. He also did a video in defense of the shuttle where he talked about all the wonderful science the shuttle's done. I watched another video talking about all the wonderful things the ISS has done. And they've done some really wonderful things. And before I watched these videos, I was one of those people where I felt kind of cheated. It was like, man, they made space flight so expensive. I mean, it's just so expensive. We're never going to get anywhere up there. We need to, you know. And SpaceX came along, and there was Armadillo Aerospace back in the day. There's whoever's launching the Electron. And they started developing rockets cheaper, and that was neat. And they kept blowing up, and we started thinking, you know, maybe there was a reason we gave NASA all that money. Boeing's mission to certify Starliner to take crew to ISS is now stopping SpaceX's 9th operational mission to ISS. And it cost half as much. Now I'm feeling ripped off again. Why did we give NASA all that money? I'm not trying to look at all the science and be like, oh, we didn't need any of that. I don't know how much of that would have actually happened if we'd have had commercial providers in the 90s or even in the 80s. I don't really know how much of that science still would have happened. There's a reason we need government agencies to do stuff like that. If the science isn't going to make any money immediately, you can't expect a private corporation to do it. And the reality is SpaceX wouldn't have been able to build what they've built without all of NASA's, you know, failures and successes through the 80s and the 90s. But this still goes deeper with Boeing because they have all this, you know, they have planes falling out of the sky. They got doors falling off of planes. Watch the John Oliver video because Boeing is also, they're not spending nearly as much on R&D as they used to. Now they're spending it all on stock buyback programs to drive up their stock price so their investors, their shareholders are going to make money and be happy. Feels like some vulture capitalist took over Boeing. They used to be one of the biggest names in the country that meant quality engineering, quality manufacturing, quality everything. And now I'm thinking NASA should be buying their rockets from China. I really want Starliner to come back. Actually, I don't care if Starliner ever comes back. I want Butch and Sonny to come back. And Starliner to get the hell off the space station and let the people who actually know how to do it get back to work. You know the old saying, those who can do, those who can't teach, Boeing should teach. You know the corollary. Those who don't think something can be done need to get out of the way of those who are doing it. Boeing, get out of the way. Thank you for watching the video. If you made it this far, you definitely need a like and subscribe. Ring the bell if you want to get notifications. And don't forget to join my Patreon. At some point, when people join my Patreon, this wall is going to be filled with names. Obviously, there aren't any right now. YouTube might be suggesting some videos here for you to watch. You could also do that. Have a nice day.